I'm standing in a stuffy courtroom, the kind where the air feels thick with old secrets and everyone avoids eye contact. My heart pounds in my ears as I watch Vanessa, my brother's wife, cling to her expensive purse like it's a life raft. A copy of the prenup she made us all hear about back at her wedding sits between her and her lawyer, her signature circled in blue ink. The judge's tone is ice cold. Vanessa's voice, usually so confident, has all but disappeared. My brother Marcus sits behind her, staring at the floor, shoulders hunched like he's trying to disappear. The same Marcus whose college textbooks I helped pay for, the same brother who once promised, "We'll always have each other's back, Jess. Family first." Now he won't even look at me. The judge declares Vanessa's lawsuit entirely without merit, then orders her to pay my legal fees. It's not just justice, it feels like the universe is finally setting the record straight. I actually smile, just a little, as the judge slams his gavel. But how did I end up here, being sued for money that was meant to help me rebuild my broken life? How did my sister-in-law think she could turn my own brother against me and lose everything in the process? Let me back up, because this story didn't start in a courtroom. It started with a car crash, a hospital bed, and the most subtle, devastating kind of family betrayal you can imagine. Hey there, thanks for joining me. If this is your first time landing on one of my stories, welcome, a place where real-life family drama meets the kind of poetic justice you usually only find in movies. If you've ever felt like the family scapegoat, or if you've ever been pressured to be generous the moment something good happens for you, this one will hit home. If you find what I share here valuable, I'd appreciate your support, a like, a comment, or joining this community for more stories about how the underdog finally gets the last word. I read every comment, and, honestly, sometimes your stories help me as much as these help you. Let's get into it. My name is Jessica Ramirez, but pretty much everyone who matters calls me Jess. I'm 37, and until a couple years ago, I lived for two things: the high of flying and making my family proud. I worked hard, sometimes two jobs at once, ever since I could remember. Never flashy, never reckless with money. After more than a decade climbing the ranks, I'd become a commercial airline pilot stationed in San Diego, working my dream job and earning $145,000 a year. I loved it. More than almost anything, actually. There was something about that quiet before takeoff, the hush of the cabin, the city lights falling away as we broke through the clouds. Those were the moments I felt unstoppable. My brother Marcus, 3 years older, was always my sidekick, at least when we were kids. We built pillow forts, snuck snacks at midnight, invented secret handshakes. When Marcus went away to college and my parents started struggling with bills, I stepped up. I sent him money, $18,000 all told, sometimes wiring what was left in my own account just so he'd have enough for rent. I never mentioned the word loan. I just said, whenever you can, pay it back or pay it forward. But after college and his first insurance job, things changed. Marcus met Vanessa at a friend's party, and my first impression of her was, honestly, complicated. She was magnetic, beautiful, put together, always surrounded by people. But she looked through people more than at them, like she was measuring every interaction for what she stood to gain. I'll never forget Vanessa introducing herself to my mom at one family barbecue. She leaned in with a perfect smile and said, "This looks cozy." The tone made cozy sound like a disease. Marcus fell hard, though. 8 years ago, he proposed. Vanessa said yes, but only after drawing up a prenuptial agreement. "Just protecting my future, that's all," she told the family. "You never know with in-laws and marrying into other people's drama." She handed me the pen to sign as a witness. I raised my eyebrows but didn't argue. Later in the kitchen, Marcus swore she just wanted clarity, nothing more. She rarely worked steadily, a sales gig here, a side hustle there, but nothing that lasted more than a couple paychecks. Yet somehow, Vanessa always had the latest designer purse, the best manicures, and Instagram photos of luxury vacations. Marcus made $68,000 as an insurance adjuster, enough to live, but not to splurge the way they did. Credit cards filled the gap. Their poverty was self-styled like a game. 5 years ago, I bought my own condo, a $450,000 place in Mission Valley. I'd saved up for nearly 15 years. I was proud. At that year's Thanksgiving dinner, Vanessa looked around and sighed, "Wow. It must be nice to have no one else to worry about but yourself." She meant it as an insult, but all I felt was pity. Every family get-together after that, same vibe, Vanessa holding court about how impossible it was to get ahead, how other people just don't get it. Marcus would half nod and try to change the subject, but you could see the tension. When their first daughter came, then a son 2 years later, Vanessa's complaints escalated. "It's so hard to raise kids when your sibling has everything handed to her," she'd say, as if my 80-hour work weeks were a silver spoon. "Our parents always tried to smooth things over." "She's under stress, Jess. Motherhood's tough. Marcus is doing his best." I swallowed my frustration for Marcus's sake, never bringing up the $18,000 loan. Family harmony, right? All that changed 2 years ago. On the way home from a late flight briefing, just an ordinary evening, traffic slowed near an intersection by the beach. Suddenly, a pickup swerved out of nowhere, running a red light and plowing into my driver's side door. The world spun white, glass exploded, and then I was somewhere else, hearing sirens, tasting blood, my legs gone numb. The injuries were bad: 2 shattered vertebrae, nerve damage, a mess of broken bones. A career that took a lifetime to build was totaled in 5 seconds. I spent nearly a year learning to walk without pain, fighting depression, trying not to snap at the endless parade of "How are you feeling now?" texts. The airline had been supportive at first, but after 8 months, the severance package ran out. Savings dwindled. Marcus came by often, sometimes just sitting quietly. Part of me hoped the old closeness might return. Vanessa, on the other hand, never came alone, always with the kids so she could visit, but somehow, the questions always turned to my finances. "How much do pilots make, even with insurance?" she'd ask, voice sweet but eyes calculating. I'd pretend not to notice. "Just enough to get by, Vanessa." During recovery, the lawsuits ground on. The driver who hit me was uninsured, but his employer's policy, after months of legal wrangling, finally delivered a settlement, $525,000. Enough to cover hospital bills, therapy, the mortgage for my condo, and a remote possibility of new beginnings. Not a lottery win, just a chance to breathe without fear. When word got out, everything changed. Family members I hadn't seen in years checked in. Vanessa started dropping hints, showing up more and more. One late afternoon, I caught her in my kitchen, snooping in my mail pile. "Just looking for bills," she claimed, but the look on her face said she'd been counting zeros. The first real ask came just days after the check cleared. Vanessa called, her voice syrupy. "Jess, can you come by Saturday? Marcus and I have something to discuss." "It's a family thing." That family thing tone was never good news. The next weekend, I sat at their dining table, piles of children's toys scattered in the living room, the air thick with forced cheeriness. Marcus fidgeted with his wedding ring, staring at his shoes. Vanessa slid a folder across the table like a CEO at a board meeting. "We've put together a proposal," she announced. Inside was a typed letter, complete with bullet points and talking points. Her plan? I'd gift them $200,000, a family investment in our future, so they could finally afford a down payment on a bigger home. "You're single, Jess." "No kids, no major bills," Vanessa breezed, twirling her hair. "We have children who deserve a real backyard. It's your duty as family to help us. Why sit on that money when you could change our lives?" Every word triggered a deeper ache. "Vanessa, I'm 37 with permanent back injuries. That money is my lifeline, not some windfall to throw around." Marcus tried to interject, voice barely a whisper. "We just thought, maybe." "What you thought," I cut in, "doesn't change the reality." Vanessa's mask slipped. "That's really selfish, Jess. After all Marcus has done for you." I laughed, one harsh syllable. "I paid your tuition, Marcus. Remember?" He went silent. I walked out, the door thunking shut behind me. That should have been the end. Instead, Vanessa started her campaign, a steady drizzle of guilt, manipulation, and outright slander over the next month. First, the family group chat exploded. Cousin Linda, it's normal to help family, Jess. Aunt Sophia, I'm sure you'll do the right thing. Think of the kids. People I hadn't seen since Grandma's funeral messaging with concern, each echoing Vanessa's talking points. Vanessa accidentally tagged me in social media posts. Funny how some people forget what family means the moment they get money. She showed up at my condo without warning, too, once as I was leaving for physical therapy. We have to talk before things get ugly, Jess. Don't make this difficult. Her eyes looked panicked, but her mouth kept twisting into that artificial smile. I started double-bolting the door. Marcus texted after midnight one evening. Vanessa's just stressed. She means well. I replied, you're my brother. Where do you stand? Minutes passed, then, I'm stuck in the middle. Can we talk soon? But the next day, another Facebook post. Amazing how quickly people change when money is on the table. Then, the family dinner. At my parents' anniversary, surrounded by 50 relatives savoring cake and laughter, Vanessa stood and clinked her glass. All I want to say, she shouted, voice rising, is that Jessica got over $500,000 and won't even help her own nieces. What kind of aunt is that heartless? People gasped, eyes darting between us. My mom's jaw dropped. Marcus went white as a sheet. I forced my voice calm. Vanessa, that money is for my injuries, for my future. It's not family property. She exploded. We're family. Half should be ours. Marcus is your brother. His family should matter as much as yours. Marcus kept staring at his hands. Not a word. Vanessa, emboldened by the silence, threw her trump card. You know what? If you refuse to help, we will sue. California's family laws guarantee that settlement isn't just yours. We have children. We have rights. The room went silent. But what I said next changed everything. I looked Vanessa in the eye, smiled, and replied, go ahead. Sue me. Then I stood up and left. But I had no idea just how far she'd go. That night, I couldn't sleep. My hands trembled, rage bubbling beneath the exhaustion. The next morning, I called Daniel Torres, a tough-as-nails attorney with a reputation for turning bogus claims into legal roadkill. I need protection, and I want this handled fast, I told him. He nodded. You have nothing to worry about, Jess. California law protects personal injury settlements. But if she tries anything, we'll be ready. We gathered paperwork over the following days: settlement letters, medical reports, bank statements. Daniel sent out preemptive notices to the court just in case Vanessa tried to file anything shady. One day, as we combed through my documents, he asked offhand, did your brother and Vanessa sign a prenup? A light bulb clicked on in my mind. 8 years ago, before their wedding, Vanessa had insisted on a prenup. She'd made a show of guarding her family's inheritance from other family influences, making sure her money from her parents could never get tangled with Marcus's side. I was a witness to her signature. I called my mom. Hey, do you still have that copy of Marcus and Vanessa's prenup? My mom chuckled. Of course I do. Vanessa made sure everyone knew she was signing it, just in case. Said she wasn't marrying anyone for money. Mom sent me a scan. There it was. In black and white, Section C, each party maintains all separate property acquired before and during the marriage. No claims may be made against the other party's family members for property division, support, or inheritance. The next few days were quiet, almost too quiet. Until, suddenly, I received a notice in the mail. Vanessa had, in fact, filed a lawsuit, petition for fulfillment of family financial commitment and restitution, asking the court to enforce a shared family property claim totaling $275,000, more than half my settlement after taxes and legal fees. I nearly laughed. But I still felt a jolt of anxiety. Some judges could buy emotional arguments if not presented with clear facts. Daniel worked overtime, putting together our response. We included the prenup, highlighted and notarized, plus every relevant California code and a stack of printouts from Vanessa's social media, showing she'd been spending on luxury goods days after declaring hardship. A few days later, Vanessa sent a text, hope you're ready to lose everything. Should have just helped family. I called Marcus. Are you really okay with her trying to take my settlement? Long pause. She says it's not personal. She's just thinking about our kids. She's destroying the only family she had in this city, I said. The line went dead. By the time the pre-hearing arrived a few weeks later, Daniel and I walked into the courtroom with 2 heavy folders stuffed with evidence. The gallery was nearly empty. Vanessa looked like she hadn't slept, eyes sunken, hands shaking whenever she tried to fix her hair. Her lawyer seemed stressed. He whispered furiously before the hearing started. Vanessa, ever the performer, put on her best victim face. "Your Honor," Daniel began calmly, "the law is clear. My client's settlement does not constitute marital or familial property. Furthermore, the plaintiff's own prenuptial agreement, signed by Choice 8 years ago, explicitly forbids any such claim." The judge glanced at the document, eyebrows raised. Vanessa's lawyer stammered about family obligation and moral responsibility, quickly losing steam as Daniel countered with code after code. Then he handed the judge the prenup. "Your Honor," the plaintiff's own words, signed, witnessed, notarized, make crystal clear she never intended to have any claim on family assets. When Daniel finished, the silence was deafening. The judge looked directly at Vanessa. "Is this your signature?" She nodded, eyes wet. "Do you understand this clause invalidates your entire claim?" Vanessa's voice cracked. "That was supposed to protect me, not hurt me." The judge sighed, frustration audible. "You can't have it both ways, Mrs. Ramirez." Case dismissed with prejudice. Defendant's legal fees to be paid by plaintiff. And considering the nature of this action, malicious exploitation, I'm adding a $3,000 sanction for wasting judicial resources. Vanessa shook. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder, quietly furious. Marcus was ghost white. I caught his gaze for the first time in months. He mouthed, "I'm sorry." 48 hours later, Daniel called to say the funds were wired to cover my $8,500 legal bill, plus the $3,000 sanction. It wasn't a payday, it was closure. Vanessa's family learned quickly. Her own mother called, horrified by the story spreading around the neighborhood. Old friends unfriended her on social media. Marcus moved into a motel. My phone buzzed. Marcus texting, "I'm filing for divorce." I should have listened to you. What I found next made my blood run cold. As Marcus started untangling his finances, he discovered credit cards and fast loans taken out in his name, over $25,000 in debt, hidden by Vanessa for months. She hadn't just tried to steal from me. She was bankrupting Marcus too. But I wasn't done. Not even close. 2 months after the verdict, I got a formal invitation to a settlement meeting. Instead of Vanessa's lawyer, Marcus showed up alone. He brought every debt statement, every credit card, every shred of evidence Vanessa had hidden. "I'm sorry, Jess. I felt trapped." She always said, family comes first, but she meant her comfort first, always. I squeezed his hand. "Start over, Marcus. Forget what everyone says. Protect yourself." The following weeks were a blur of consequences. Vanessa's social accounts disappeared. She listed her designer handbags and jewelry for sale online. At a neighborhood cookout, someone made a toast to dodging a bullet, and everyone laughed except her. Word got out in our extended family. Vanessa tried to steal her sister-in-law's injury settlement and lost everything. Even people who'd taken her side vanished from her life. The final twist came 6 months later, on a gray morning filled with mist. I met Marcus at the courthouse, finalizing his divorce. He finally closed their joint accounts, started seeing a therapist, and moved in with friends. He texted me that night, "Thank you. I'm finally breathing again." I scrolled back to old texts, reminders of our friendship, our loyalty. Maybe one day, we'll get there again. For now, I had my own life to rebuild. As for me, the settlement is invested. I used part to qualify as a flight instructor, teaching future pilots the same discipline and ethics my career taught me. The rest is mine, untouchable, safe, because I took every precaution. My back still aches some mornings, but I sleep again. These days, people in my family look at me differently. Not as the lucky sibling, but as someone who survived, who stood up against abuse and came out stronger. And Vanessa? Last I heard, she moved in with her parents and picked up a cashier job. No more designer bags, no more mimosas at brunch. The prenup she wrote to shield herself became the document that stripped her of her illusions and her meal ticket. Sometimes karma needs a little extra help, and sometimes it just needs a notary stamp. It's been 4 months since Marcus finalized the divorce and almost a year since Vanessa lost the lawsuit. Life is quiet, peaceful, no more surprise knocks on my door, no more late-night phone calls demanding I do the right thing. Marcus and I see each other for coffee, not every week, but enough. Sometimes we talk about the past, but mostly we're focused on the future. He's learning to set boundaries. I'm learning that sometimes, surviving is its own kind of revenge. My mom jokes that our family could write its own soap opera. She's not wrong. But at least now, I have a sense of control and safety I never thought I'd get back. The settlement didn't fix everything. My back will never be the same, but it let me build something new. Something nobody, not even family, can take from me again. Looking back, I don't regret standing my ground. I did it for myself, for Marcus, for every person who's ever been bullied by their own family. If you're ever in my shoes, remember, document everything. Get help. And know that you're not alone, no matter how isolated you feel at the worst moments. The best revenge isn't watching someone else fall. It's protecting yourself and finally feeling whole. That's my story. Sometimes, the universe delivers justice with the very pen your enemy used to protect themselves. If this story resonated with you, I'd be grateful for your support, whether it's a like, a comment, or joining this community for more stories about holding your ground and claiming your power. Drop a comment. Have you ever faced being pressured by family to give up your hard-earned victories? I read every word, and your experiences matter. If you're dealing with something similar right now, document, protect yourself, and don't let anyone bully you, even in the name of family. You aren't powerless. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next story. Take care.